To talk about the effects that come with Sonar for a minute, I'm going to switch over to the console view. So this is the other main view that you would work in when you're working in Sonar. And now in both Studio and Producer Edition of Sonar, we have the Sonitis bundle of effects, which includes a lot of great things. You have a 6-band parametric EQ integrated into the program. So you'll see this actually show up on each of my tracks in Producer Edition as well. And great graphical editability, great sounding EQ. Also within that Sonitis bundle of plugins, you have a great single-band compressor that has some great vintage emulation modes. So I can call up an LA2A curve, for example. You also have a 5-band multi-band compressor that comes in the box with the program. This is also very important, especially on those mix downs. So I can isolate just one section, one frequency range, and compress just that frequency range rather than squashing the whole track. And also, you have with that Sonitis bundle, you also have delays, and there's a nice reverb in there. We also have 2 other reverbs that come with Producer Edition only. One of those is called Perfect Space. Let me just find a track that has something coming out of it here. So for example, if I wanted to add a reverb onto this drum bus here, I have a subgroup that all my drums are going to. Add that to the effects bin. So this is Perfect Space, and this is what we call a convolution reverb. And what that means is, rather than sort of a traditional digital reverb or sort of plate reverb, the old style reverbs, this actually uses real sampled acoustic spaces to produce echo and room ambient sounds. Perfect Space, which ships with Sonar Producer Edition, comes with over 300 impulse algorithms built into it. So, and you can also download additional ones from the internet. There's a great site called Noise Vault, for example, where you can download new impulse responses that will work right in this plugin. So within this plugin, you have real spaces like churches and concert halls, some more exotic spaces like bathrooms or stairwells if you want some unique sounds. You also have outdoor spaces. We have real sampled outdoor environments like canyons and caves. You can see there are quite a few different impulse responses in here. And you also have samples of analog hardware and plate sounds, the inside of tin cans, some crazy stuff in there if you want it. I'm just going to call up a basic plate sound here, just so you can hear the reverb for a little bit. So here it's a very natural sounding reverb. Also within the plugin itself, you have great control over editing that reverb and tweaking it to sound just the way you want it. You have different envelopes in here to control things like EQ and pan on the reverb. There are low and high pass filters built in as well, and you can draw envelopes over top of this impulse response here. There's even a reverse feature, so you can do reverse reverb effects just by flipping a switch. So you can do effects like that would normally take a lot of footwork and flipping tracks over, adding reverb to them, bouncing them down, things like that. Now you can just do it by flipping a switch inside the reverb. Very cool plugin. And also, if you're looking for more traditional sounding reverb, something that sounds very much like digital hardware, we have actually 2 built-in Lexicon reverbs in Producer Edition. There's the stereo version of the Pantheon, and we also have a surround version. And another thing that's important to point out at this point, we also have support in Producer Edition only for over 30 different formats of surround mixing. So for example, in this project, there's actually a surround bus set up. You can see that there's a surround panner on this track here. Just to widen my strips a little bit so we can see this better. And if you simply select the output on a track or on a bus and send that into a surround bus, you'll see it automatically gets a surround panner. So setting up surround busing in Sonar is very simple, but it also has very powerful routing capabilities. If I right-click on a surround panner, I can also get a larger view of that. And as you can see, this is a sort of 5-speaker setup. We're set up to do 5.1 mixing now. Sonar will actually go up to 8.1 and does over, as I mentioned, over 30 formats in between. So you have a lot of selection. And also, a unique thing to the program, not only does it have surround capabilities, we also have built-in surround plugins. As I mentioned, that surround reverb by Lexicon. So we have a surround version of that where you have front and rear level controls and front and rear echo, so you can make very cool surround reverb effects. Also an invaluable tool for mixing down surround projects, we have a 9-band surround compressor. And this is important because you can actually link each of these different compression curves inside of the plugin to different surround channels. So for example, if you're doing a Hollywood movie and you have a soundtrack that has a lot of bass, boomy bass effects in it, if you're compressing that whole signal, all the surround channels at once, that bass hit might compress the other parts, and you don't want to hear that. So you can actually set your low frequency channel onto another compression curve, my center channel, my rear channels, and this will work in up to 8.1. And you can see as I move one of these curves, I actually have independent control over each of those speakers. And so those are just built into Sonar Producer Edition. Also, a really unique technology to Sonar is called Surround Bridge. And if I call up any of my VST plugins here, for example, this TC plugin, I just added that onto a surround channel. You'll see that Sonar has automatically created a number of tabs within that plugin, and this is what we call Surround Bridge. It allows you to use any mono or stereo VST plugin on a surround bus. So it really eliminates the need to have to go out and purchase an additional bundle of surround plugins. You really have everything you need when you open the box with Sonar to do surround mixing.